When a man says he doesn't care, watch what he does, not what he says. Because here's the truth. The men who are the most emotionally obsessed with you often hide it the hardest. And not because they're trying to play games. No, it's because they're losing a battle, one you can't see, but one that shows up in all the little things. The accidental glances, the sudden disappearances, the unexplained tension when you talk about someone else. This video isn't about decoding mixed signals. It's about understanding a psychological pattern that countless women misread and end up questioning their worth because of it. If you've ever felt confused by a man who acts cold but stays close, you're about to discover the truth. Not the cliches, not the recycled advice, but a breakthrough way of understanding what's really happening in his mind and exactly what you can do about it. Let's begin. There's a reason why a man can be fully captivated by you and still act like he doesn't care. It's not just fear of rejection, it's deeper. It's identity. You see, for many modern men, especially in Western culture, being in control is not just a preference, it's part of how they define their masculinity. The moment they show they care, they feel like they're giving away that control. And for a man who's emotionally obsessed, that's terrifying. Because now, his heart is tied to something he can't command. So what does he do? He builds a mask, not a fake persona, but a protective one. A version of himself that appears indifferent, detached, even aloof. But underneath, his emotional system is on high alert. He notices everything you do. He remembers things you forgot you said. He tracks your energy like a radar, but pretends he's just chill. This isn't a game. It's not manipulation. It's survival mode for a man who's secretly emotionally invested, but doesn't feel safe showing it. And here's the kicker. Many women internalize this behavior as rejection. They think, if he cared, wouldn't he text me back? If he was into me, why does he act distant? But what they don't realize is that his obsession hasn't disappeared. It's been pushed underground. And underground emotions don't stay dormant. They leak out in sideways behaviors. Like suddenly becoming irritated when you post with another guy, or showing up in places you casually mentioned by accident, or giving you passive compliments disguised as sarcasm. These are all signs of suppressed emotional investment. Because here's the psychology. A man who truly doesn't care doesn't react. But a man who's pretending not to care, he overreacts, subtly. He micromanages his presence around you. He calculates his timing. He's trying to keep you close without giving you the power to hurt him. This is the paradox. The more obsessed he is, the more distant he may act. And unless you know how to read it for what it is, you'll misinterpret it every time. You'll start chasing him, overanalyzing, trying to earn clarity when the truth is, his behavior was never about you not being enough. It was about him not feeling safe enough to come closer. So how do you break that pattern? You don't chase it. You expose it by doing the one thing he's not prepared for. So here's the truth he doesn't want you to know. He's not indifferent. He's defensive. And his silence, his hot and cold behavior, that's not proof that you're chasing a dead end. It's proof that you've already gotten under his skin. But here's the thing about defense mechanisms. They only work as long as you stay predictable. If he thinks he knows where he stands with you, if he senses you're emotionally available, always waiting, always just checking in, then his emotional wall holds. He feels in control. That's why your biggest power doesn't come from confronting him. It comes from changing your energy. The moment you stop reacting, stop chasing, stop performing emotional labor on his behalf, you break the pattern he's been hiding behind, because suddenly he's not the one in control anymore. You are. See, what most women don't realize is this. A man who's secretly obsessed is watching for one thing: emotional consistency. He needs to know that if he ever opens up, you'll still be there, that he can stall and you won't go anywhere. So the moment you disrupt that consistency, everything shifts. You don't need to ghost him. You don't need to make dramatic exits. All you need to do is center your energy back on yourself. When he texts late, you take your time to respond. When he flakes, you don't call it out or justify it. You don't internalize it. You simply match the energy and keep your attention on what fulfills you. And that's when his inner alarm goes off, because now you're no longer playing the emotional caretaker. You're no longer signaling, it's okay for you to stay distant. I'll wait. Now, you're signaling, I value myself more than I value your confusion. And that, for a man who's emotionally obsessed, is jarring. Because his control came from the illusion that he could always come back, that you'd always respond, that your love was unconditional, even when his effort wasn't. But when that illusion cracks, when he starts to feel your absence in a real way, not because you're being spiteful, but because you're genuinely choosing not to participate in emotional limbo, that's when the mask slips. And here's what happens next. He either disappears completely because the chase is over and the obsession wasn't real, or he steps forward. He texts more consistently. He starts asking deeper questions. He brings up moments between you two that he never mentioned before. He might even confess that he's been confused, afraid, or not ready, which is male code for, I felt something and didn't know what to do with it. Either way, you get clarity. And here's the key. That clarity didn't come because you pushed for it. It came because you created space for the truth to rise. You didn't coax him into emotional honesty. You required it by showing that you would no longer settle for the alternative. And this is what I want you to understand. Men don't become emotionally available because you explain your worth to them. They become emotionally available because they fear losing access to the energy they've grown attached to. And that fear only kicks in when you're no longer always available. You don't have to punish him. You don't have to play games. You simply live your life as if emotional clarity is the bare minimum, and anyone who can't offer it won't get your time. That's not a tactic, that's a standard. And when your standards become non-negotiable, two things happen. 1. Men who are only in it for the power trip will fade away. 2. The one who's truly obsessed, who has feelings he's been hiding, will face the one fear greater than vulnerability: losing you. And when that fear becomes real, he's forced to make a decision. Here's the truth no one tells you. A man pretending not to care is gambling on one thing: that you won't walk away. He doesn't believe you will, because until now, you've been emotionally invested. You've given him space, understanding, patience. You've rationalized the silence. You've filled in the emotional gaps with hope. But when your energy shifts, when you stop giving him the emotional credit he hasn't earned, that's when he starts questioning his entire strategy. You see, for men who are secretly obsessed, the fantasy of having you is more comfortable than the reality of earning you. It's safer to admire you from a distance, to pretend they're unaffected, than to risk being fully seen and possibly rejected. But when the possibility of losing you becomes real, something changes. Suddenly, his silence feels empty. The distance he created to protect himself, it starts to suffocate him. Because now you're no longer an emotional guarantee, you're a decision he has to make. And this is where the magic happens. He'll either rise into the kind of man who chooses emotional courage over comfort, or he'll fall back into his fear and let you go. But either way, you win. Because this is no longer about getting him to open up. This is about seeing who he really is, without the mask, without the mixed signals, without the drama. And that kind of clarity, that's liberating. Because now you're not caught in emotional limbo. You're not stuck wondering, overanalyzing, hoping. You're standing in your power, knowing this: a man who values me will not risk losing me to protect his pride. Let me be clear. Emotional maturity is not about constant communication or grand romantic gestures. It's about consistency, presence, intention. And a man who's secretly obsessed but emotionally unavailable is still unavailable. No matter how intense his silent longing feels, it's not love until he acts on it. So what do? You keep choosing yourself. You keep showing up for your own life. You keep living with standards that reflect your worth, even when it's hard, even when your heart wants to wait just a little longer. Because that self-respect, it doesn't repel love. It attracts the right kind of love, the kind that doesn't flinch when things get real, the kind that doesn't need convincing, the kind that chooses you clearly, consistently, and without emotional confusion. And here's the beautiful part. When you hold space for that kind of love, you'll stop settling for the shadows of it. You'll stop confusing obsession with commitment. You'll stop mistaking attention for effort. You'll stop bending yourself to fit into someone else's emotional delay. Because you'll know, you're not hard to love. You're just no longer available to people who aren't ready to show up fully. So if he was secretly obsessed, if he felt something real, if he sees you pulling away and it triggers something deeper, let him come to you. Let him be the one to close the distance he created. Let him prove through consistent, grounded action that he's not just obsessed, he's finally ready. And if he doesn't, you haven't lost him. You've only lost the illusion that he was ever going to choose you. Because in the end, love isn't about unlocking someone's potential. It's about recognizing who's already willing to meet you where you are, with honesty, clarity, and intention. If this message hit home for you, know this: you are not alone. So many women feel confused, pulled, and emotionally drained by men who seem interested, but never fully show up. That confusion ends today. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you experienced this emotional tug-of-war? What shifted for you when you finally chose yourself? I read every single one, and your story may be the one that gives another woman the courage to let go of someone who never truly chose her. If you found value in this video, please give it a like, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel for more content that speaks directly to your heart. Because you deserve clarity, you deserve peace, and most importantly, you deserve a love that doesn't hide.